Hello everyone, welcome to another one-on-one interview session with one of our committee members and the industry leader, Mr. Ahsaas Bajaj, who is machine learning tech lead and applied AI researcher recognized for the design and deployment for large-scale recommendation, retrieval and personalization system in production. His work has shaped Instacart's personalized replacement and fulfillment intelligence of capabilities that have been publicly highlighted in shareholders' letters for improving perfect order fill rate and customer satisfaction. These systems operate on massive scale, supporting hundreds of millions of item replacement annually with satisfaction rate exceeds 95%. With a career spanning Samsung R&D and Walmart Lab, Ahsaas has a track record of shipping ML systems under extreme real-world latency and scale constraints. His work focuses on the intersection of academic rigor and operational reliability, establishing original methodologies for high cardinality decision space. He is an invited speaker and a thought leader in the ML community dedicated to establishing best practice for the next generation for production grade AI. Thank you so much, Ahsaas, for taking your time for this one-on-one interview session with us. So, if I forward to mention something in your intro, so this is the chance you can add about yourself.
No, I think it's really good. It's my pleasure to be here, and I'm really enjoying being a committee member for this conference, and I'm looking forward to meeting everyone and looking at the speakers and the panel discussions and all the conversations that will happen in Amsterdam.
Great. So I have some questions which I prepared for you. So you have worked across several high-impact industry roles. How did your journey evolve into specializing in large-scale machine learning and recommendation systems?
Yeah, that's a good one. So I started with Samsung Research in Bangalore, where I was working on on-device ML for Galaxy phones. So that was my first real taste of production constraints, including like tight latency budgets, hardware limits, shipping to like millions of customers, and the gap between what works in a notebook or in a local development setup and what will actually serve the customers was very clear in my first job itself. So that prompted me to go back to school and like again research deeply about machine learning, NLP, information retrieval. So I applied to UMass Amherst for my master's program, and I got into that, and I really went deep into understanding the theoretical aspects of these systems. But I also did a lot of projects that ended up being NLP publications, and that experience overall gave me the right grounding, the theoretical grounding, which I did not have the time to build in the industry. And after I graduated, I started my work in the US with Walmart Labs, where I first actually touched large-scale recommendation systems and fulfillment problems. And I really found it very interesting because it was more than just ML modeling. It was about deciding what to model and why to model it. And lastly, I've been with Instacart for almost 4 years now, and I feel all of my experience, all of my learning has now converged because the problem I work on and the set of problems I work on, including the substitutions, the replacements model that he mentioned, it sits at the intersection of NLP, information retrieval, research, applied AI, ranking, and making all of these decisions in real time, serving to millions of users. So yeah, in hindsight, I guess the specialization wasn't really planned, but it emerged from chasing the right problems or chasing the problems I found interesting at that time.
That's a great one, and that's a great journey. So let's move to the second question. You have led the design and deployment of production ML systems, serving hundreds of millions of requests annually. What are some key lessons you have learned from building ML systems at that scale?
Yeah, some of the key lessons would be, the problems look very simple on the surface, but in reality, when you dig deeper, the problem really gets harder. For example, if you're, as I said, if you're doing product replacements, at surface, it could be like, okay, this is one product, but find the most similar product. But when you dig deeper, there are much more nuances than that. You need to understand about, will the customer be okay receiving the replacement product, and is the replacement product actually available to be picked up by the shopper? So what I'm trying to say is, like, some problems, they look simpler when you start working on them, but as you dig deeper, there are more complexities and more nuances that you have to sort of understand and work around it. And basically that framing changed everything for me, right? So it changed how you measured the success, it changed how you track the performance of your system and how well are you doing. So yeah, the scale basically enhances all of these challenges, because you have to serve, as I said, to millions of users. So even a small mistake can become like a big issue or a big error for a big company. So scale will amplify all the errors, in my opinion. So you got to be really cautious on what you're building and how you're building it.
Okay, let's move to the second question. You have been invited to speak at multiple industry and academic events. What topic do you most enjoy discussing with the community, and why?
Yeah, there are a few topics I really enjoy. One, as I said, the gap between what works in production versus what works in research. So people, when they come from a research background or from academic background, it's not very obvious how those things can work in production reality. So this is a gap, or more of two parts of the equation that I like to discuss with the community. I also go really deep into evaluation design, because if you're building a model, you need to be really thorough on how you evaluate the performance before you actually deploy it to production or show it in front of the customers. So how can you make your offline evaluation really crisp and clear, so that it actually tells you how good or bad your model is, and it has to be really fair and biased. So I definitely spend a lot of time talking about evaluation. Also, overall, as people grow senior in their career, there is a shift between execution to judgment. So you don't have to think how I build this, but rather you should be thinking, should we even build this? So that shift that happens as folks progress in their career is again one area I like to zoom in. Overall, that's a high-level theme of my conversations and my presentations. Again, reminding people about the soft skills, about communication, and about working with stakeholders, and just building the right things that actually move the business metrics is usually my focus.
Great. And DSC Next bring together researcher and industry leaders. So what value do you think that this kind of cross-disciplinary conference offer to the data science community?
Yeah, I do believe there's a lot of value in such conferences, because not everyone working in the industry has the bandwidth to really be on top of what's going on in the research. So such conferences brings researchers, practitioners, everyone in the same room. So it's good to broadly share knowledge and really be on top of the ever basically growing field of AI and data science. We all know how at what acceleration the field is progressing. So these conferences give us an opportunity to really be in touch and learn from the peers and get the best ideas out there. Because this is an interdisciplinary conference, so there are people from a lot of domains like healthcare, finance, logistics. So this diversity helps a lot, because there could be someone in a different domain working on a similar problem, which another person in a different domain can borrow and can really fit the puzzle basically. So that diversity, I think, helps a lot, and DSC Next brings that diversity on the table. So overall, as a committee member, I also care about how can we get the practitioner voice in the front, and the practitioner voice is well represented. And I feel the conference gives us that platform.
And what are you personally most looking forward to at DSC Next 2026 in Amsterdam?
Yeah, I'm personally looking forward to the conversations that happen when like-minded people meet together, right? So everyone will be from DS community, but they will be practicing DS in a very different setup, different industry, academics, industry, And they would be students, or they would be senior experts, they would be professors. So I'm just very interested on like how the conversations will happen, not just the keynote speaking, the panel, but also like the hallway conversation, as we call it, right? So I'm very interested to like be a part of that community. Overall, I'm also interested to see where the research community is heading, what are the bigger problems other people across the globe are facing. I live in the United States, so I would love to like visit like some parts in Europe and see how are people in Europe like thinking about the same problem. So I think it's just getting the world together, and making it full of value for everyone.
Okay, so as you are an expert and doing great work in the industry, so for early career engineers and researchers who want to work on high impact ML systems, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, there are a few advice I could give. Like one is like build something end to end. Like build an end to end project that you can fully explain, that you can fully like explain to interviewers, that you have like built from scratch. So I think just instead of doing like toy problems, building something end to end helps you take an edge over your competition. Specifically to the DS and ML industry, I would say like error analysis is a very important aspect. Like many people overlook what error analysis means and how to do it, but the real breakthrough often comes from like deeply understanding why your model is getting wrong, why your model is getting right, instead of just continuously building new models. Understand the errors of the model very clearly. That is where I feel there is less focus on, especially early in the career. And I want to reiterate, the importance of doing early error analysis. One more thing I would want to call out is, especially people early in their career, they should learn how to write, because with the AI, Gen AI, everyone is using like AI chatbots to do writing, but there is a lot of thinking involved in writing a clear document and writing a proposal. So it's more of an internal dialogue and internal brainstorming, and then comes the getting alignment from people and stakeholders. So even in the world of Gen AI, I would advise people and early career engineers to like really learn how to write clear documents, technical proposals, get them reviewed with your team, and get alignment earlier on, so there is no confusion when you're building stuff. Overall, just don't wait while you're fully ready, because no one is perfect, right? So get into the field and get the feedback as early as possible, and then improve on from there.
That's great. And thank you so much, Ahsaas, for taking your time today for this one-on-one interview session. And it's my pleasure to interviewing you today. And also, if anybody would like to connect with the Ahsaas, so I will be mentioning his contact details below the description, so that you guys can contact him. Thank you so much.